What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Bassline Frequency Podcast. Before we even get into today's topic, I want to say something real quick because this matters to me and hopefully to you. I want y'all to know that these episodes are not me just turning on a mic and talking off the top of my head. I'm actually putting time into this, and I'm reading, I'm checking sources, comparing what installers, audio specialists, and real system builders say, because I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want to confuse you. And I'm also speaking from experience, because I had some experience on some of this stuff, I'm telling you. But if you're listening to this and you care about your system, and I care about making sure what I'm saying actually helps you get the most out of it, well, hey, then we can come into some type of agreement, shall we? So, today's episode is based on a question people search all the time. And that question is, why does my bass sound weak? Now, if you've ever installed a system and thought, this should hit harder than this, it's loud, but it doesn't feel strong, something feels off, well, this episode is for you. And what we're going to first start off with is what weak bass really means. Well, first thing we need to clear up is that weak bass does not mean quiet bass. A system can be loud and still feel weak. So when people say my bass sound weak, what they usually mean is it doesn't move air. It doesn't feel solid. It doesn't hit the way they expect it. It feels hollow or thin. And this is something car audio specialists talk about all the time. Impact and control matters more than volume. That's why proper tuning is always talked about before upgrading equipment. Now, the most common reasons bass sounds weak, with real examples, is the frequency and crossover issue. Every subwoofer has a range where it works best. And if your crossover is set wrong, your subs might still play, but it won't play efficiently. Example. Let's say if your crossover is set too low, the bass can feel weak because the sub isn't being asked to do enough work. So if it's set too high, the bass can sound muddy and lose impact. This is why tuning guys always say, match the crossover to the sub strengths. Don't just guess. Now, let's talk about gain. Because gain is not a volume knob. This is a huge one. This is one of the most misunderstood parts of car audio. Gain does not make your system more powerful. It matches the amplifier to the head unit signal. Example. Gain too low, sub never reaches full potential. Gain too high, distortion, compression, and bass collapse. And if you keep that up too long, well, I don't have to tell you what your speaker's gonna eventually do. Now, think about it. Same system though, two totally different results. This is why companies like CT Sounds and Crutchfield Stress gain settings so much because weak bass is often a tuning problem, not a hardware problem. So, moving right along, let's talk about phase and polarity, the invisible problem. This one throws a lot of people off. If your subwoofer is out of phase with the rest of your system, bass waves can partially cancel each other out. What does that feel like? Well, the bass sounds hollow. Bass feels like it's behind you. Turning it up doesn't help. This isn't opinion, it's basic audio physics. When waves don't line up, you lose energy. That's why some installers will flip polarity or adjust timing, and suddenly the bass feels twice as strong without changing volume. Another one is your car is part of the system. This one is big, y'all. Your car's interior affects bass more than people realize. Trunk size, cabin shape, seat positions, where the sub is firing. Example, the same system can hit hard in one car and feel weak in another. Not because the gear changed, but because the environment did. And that's why car audio guys always talk about vehicle acoustics. The car isn't just holding the system, it's shaping the sound. Now, let's talk about why turning it up doesn't fix weak bass. This is also a big one. This is where a lot of people go wrong. When bass sounds weak, the instinct is just turn it up. But if the system isn't turned right, or should I say tuned right, turning it up actually makes things worse. What happens? Distortion increases. Control disappears. Bass collapse instead of hitting harder. Strong bass stays solid as volume goes up. Weak bass falls apart. That's one of the clearest signs something needs adjustment. Now, let's talk to, I think I got a little bit veteran system settings heavy, should I say. I'm a not dumb it down, but I'm a reposition this where my newcomers can that if you're new to this car audio and this feels like a lot, I'm just gonna simplify this. Here's the basic checklist, should I say. Leave bass boost off for now. Learn your system before adding extra processing. Set your gain correctly. Gain matches signal. It doesn't create a power. Should I say it again? Gain matches signal. It doesn't create power. So set your crossover carefully. Too high, it equals muddy. Too low, it equals weak. And then listen before buying new gear. A lot of weak bass problems are tuning issues, not equipment issues. Almost everyone goes through this phase. I went through it, my brother went through it, and pretty much everybody else. I don't care who you are, you done went through this. This weak bass doesn't mean you failed, it means you're learning. So, with that being said, I'm going to play for y'all the bass track of the week. And for the bass track of the week, I'm playing one of my own tracks because I think it's a good example of controlled bass. Yeah, let me go and put that on now. And then we'll get back to it.
The bass.
Alright, distortion check, bass check.
The bass.
Sounds good. Let's go and rip this right here.
The bass.
Hey, man, gon' rip that. Hey, man, gon' rip that. 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 Hey, man, gon' rip that. Rip that. Rip that. Rip that. Rip that. Check this. If you got your bass tuned or your system correctly, did you notice how the bass stays solid? It doesn't wash everything out. It feels full, not sloppy. That's what strong bass sounds like. Not just loud, but controlled. So, if your bass sounds weak, you know what? Yeah, let's do this. The takeaway from this whole podcast episode. If your bass sounds weak, check tuning before upgrading. Don't chase the lowest frequencies. Gain and crossover matters more than people think. Phase and car acoustics are real factors, y'all. And loud does not equal strong. But guess what? Most importantly, if your system sounds better quiet than loud, it's telling you something. Remember that. So I put these episodes together because I want people to actually understand their systems. And with me doing my research, I'm actually learning even more about systems more than I thought I knew. So I'm glad to actually share this with you also. And I'm also looking forward to hearing what some of my vets as well as my new builders, how y'all feel about this whole situation. Leave it in the comments. Once again, I'm going to stress this a little bit more. I put these episodes together because I want people to actually understand their systems, not just be throwing money all out there and hoping for the best. So, if this helped you, I'm going to be dropping some clips through the week, breaking down this subject even more. And if you want answers backed by real principles, real research, and real experience, that's what this podcast is for. This is the Bassline Frequency Podcast, built to help you get it right. If you want receipts or you want to read deeper into this yourself, I'm pulling from places like Crutchfield, CT Sounds, Best Car Audio, and you can look these up anytime. But I'm going to tell you one thing, the best is from experience. So, this is Brian for Bassline Frequency Podcast, episode 6. I'm out. Or should I say Brian, aka Scope the Producer. Y'all know who I am. I'm out.